Hey everybody, welcome back to Friends for Life's Midweek Mini. Thanks for joining us again. Hi. We got a pretty awesome article today from our friends over at Disability Scoop, and this one is kind of important, I think.
Yes.
So the title is New Push Underway to Eliminate Subminimum Wage, which, as probably most of you know that work in the field, people with disabilities get paid less, or they do piece pay and all this stuff, which, in my personal opinion, is kind of unfair, but it goes.
That's a lot of opinions.
So, I'm not a big fan of that one, but stating here that the government investigators say that the lack of resources is one of the main reasons people with disabilities continue to work for less than minimum wage. Now, some lawmakers want to change that, which, we'll try not to get very political on that, but that's the common. Oh, there's not enough going around, but a lot of the time it feels like they're just like, yeah, you have a disability, we don't care, which is kind of saying the same thing most of the time, in my humble opinion. So yell at me all you want. Go ahead. I'll be your punching bag. But a bipartisan bill introduced in the U.S. House of Representatives this month would phase out what is known as subminimum wage over 5 years to provide the means to support people with disabilities in the transition to competitive integrated employment. The legislation introduced by Representatives Bobby Scott, Kathy McMorris Rogers, seek to do away with federal provisions dating back to 1938 that allows employers to obtain special 14C certificates from the Department of Labor, authorizing them to pay people with disabilities less than the federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour, which is already incredibly low. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's a long time coming. 1938? That's like older than my grandparents. That's like my great-grandparents. Dear Lord.
Yeah, no, not very much has changed in a long time.
That's insane. Yeah, things move very slow at the government level. More than 30 years after the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act, which we talked about in detail with Catherine Hunt Thomas's podcast episode, if you guys want to pop back and listen to that
Check it out. She's very knowledgeable.
Very, very knowledgeable on that. So our nation's preeminent wage and hour law... our nation's preeminent wage and hour law still denies equal opportunity for far too many workers with disabilities. It is long past time for Congress to phase out subminimum wage for workers with disabilities and expand access to fulfilling employment and economic self-sufficiency, Scott said. The measure, known as the Transformation to Competitive Integrated Employment Act, H.R. 2373, would halt the issuance of the 14C certificates immediately and require that employees working under existing certificates be paid at least minimum wage within 5 years. Still incredibly slow.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the capacity of needing employees now, and if I said, well, guess what? In 5 years, you'll be able to make minimum wage, my buddy. That wouldn't fly over well.
Well, that's just what's
holding it back. I mean,
no. I mean, if the average person without a disability would literally laugh at that,
laugh, scoff, and
not do the job.
Yes,
I mean they're already upset about. It's really hard for me not to be profane. That's just my natural good. It's really hard for people to, even for minimum wage right now, it's hard because it's just, employees want more money.
I have sleep shifts for our company, and we do at minimum wage. I mean, you get to go to sleep. Now, if you have to wake up, you can always clock back in, do what you have to do. But this is, again, why we do a lot of remote supports now as well. Because people don't want to even get paid to sleep anymore or feel as if they should get paid more. And it's kind of confusing on multiple levels why our individuals are having such a hard time getting money. Because I know a lot of great clients, man, who can do the work. Mm-hmm. They will go to work day in, day out, rain or shine. My Uncle Larry, oh my goodness, I don't think he ever took a day off. If he did, I mean, he had to be in the hospital or sick. Like he worked and he did janitorial. He was proud of his job, and when he wasn't there. You could tell when he wasn't there.
Well, and paying, I mean, a minimum wage even just at that level to people with disabilities would help with a lot of the issues that go on, such as, increasing their housing ability where they can live, transportation. I mean,
and I mean, again, what are we doing? We are supposed to be making ourselves self-sufficient. That's what I believe in as a community. A community should be able to make themselves self-sufficient as a whole, in not only a case of an emergency, but in the case of growth. Yeah. Like, people need to be able to take care of themselves and not just have a handout all the time. And that goes for people with disabilities as well. Like, I think we are real enough on this show that we don't want you to pity yourself if you have a disability. We don't want you to sit there and find only complaints. Like, let's look towards the future of what can we do to help you grow and do better.
Absolutely. So to move on, it says the bill introduction comes on the heels of a Government Accountability Office report detailing the barriers that people with disabilities face in moving away from sub-minimum wage. The report, which is based on a research review and interviews with experts and officials across 5 states, identifies 32 factors that help or hinder the transition from sub-minimum wage jobs to competitive, integrated employment. Among the issues cited are family concerns about individuals maintaining their federal benefits, the level of resources to help 14C certificate holders provide services like job coaching to support competitive employment, state policies and local factors like the availability of transportation, which we've talked on multiple occasions about, even around here. I mean, transportation is a huge issue. As of October 2020, 1,247 employers had obtained or applied for the 14C certificates, according to the GAO, and little is known about the extent of which individuals have successfully transitioned to competitive employment. The situation has been further muddied by the COVID-19 pandemic, which forced many work sites, including those paying sub-minimum wage, to close, investigators said in their findings. In addition to the Transformation to Competitive Integrated Employment Act. I promise one day, people, I'll be able to read these. There are a number of other legislative efforts in the works that would put an end to sub-minimum wage. Phasing out the practice is among the goals of the Raise the Wage Act, a bill chiefly aimed at increasing the federal minimum wage to $15 per hour. And President Joe Biden is currently pushing an infrastructure package called the American Jobs Plan that also seeks to do away with sub-minimum wage. Several states and cities from Maryland to Alaska have already moved to prohibit employers from paying people with disabilities less than minimum wage in recent years. Congrats on that. However, many families continue to support the option of sub-minimum wage employment, arguing that it offers purpose for those with more significant disabilities who may struggle in other work environments. Yeah. So what is? I mean, the purpose thing is kind of seems like a easy. Oh, you're doing such a good, like, a head patting thing, which
is BS. What we find disgusting at times.
Yeah, it's as Lisa Combs says, inspiration porn. We need to cut out the inspiration porn, more actual work and jobs and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know where this is going to go. I mean, it sounds like it's promising, but I mean, 5 years, come on.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I have no real, I mean, because there's so much that can be said about the politics of it. That's the uncomfortable part.
I'll have my car paid off by then.
I'll probably have 2 more cars by then.
And 5 more podcast studios.
Yeah, right? I mean,
at this rate.
We'll be in a lot of different areas by the time that happens. But, maybe it'll happen sooner. Maybe there's something that can drive. Like they were talking about in the beginning, the job coaching and stuff, I think, has been a big help to a lot of people that we serve. They are working at jobs that are fulfilling to them. Not all of them are in ADS places. These are like your supermarkets, fast food restaurants, and you can see the change from at least 10 years ago. I remember 10 years ago wondering, like, wow, there has to be a better way. But I think that they're getting better. I think they're getting, they're understanding the process a little better. And not only that, I want to thank all the employers who take the time and sit back and say, okay, yes, we're gonna do this together as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you everybody for watching or listening to this week's Midweek Mini.
Because if you're listening, you should be watching. You never know what you might see.
But yeah, if you can, hit us up on our social media. We're on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, everything.
Everything.
Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. And you'll want to check out our Medical Mondays and our full Friends for Life podcast.
Get to learn on people.
Another one we referenced earlier, we talked to Jimmy Finley on the remote support services stuff. He's got some really good insights. If you're wondering what that is, you can go back and check out that episode. I'll throw a link up here at the end of the video and down below in the podcast notes. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week.
Later.